Welcome to the February 8th, 2023 regular meeting of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors. The time is 4:30 p.m. Board members, please make sure your microphones are on and remember to talk directly into the microphone. I will now call the meeting to order and take roll. And I see everybody is here, so everybody is present. We're going to adjourn to closed session. The Board of Directors will meet in closed session to discuss the following items: public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, Title Fire Chief, Title Legal Counsel. And do we have any public communications for the closed session item? Anybody? Seeing none? We will now adjourn to closed session. We're going to reopen our meeting from closed session to open session. And welcome to the February 8th, 2023 regular board meeting of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors. The time is 6 p.m. and we will now begin the meeting and take roll. And all of our board members are present, so we are all here. We're going to report out of closed session. So legal counsel, can you please report out of closed session?
Yes, President, members of the board, members of the public, the board met in closed session to discuss the two items that are listed on the agenda. There was no reportable action under the Brown Act. However, the board did appoint an ad hoc committee of board members Evinger and Luth to address the fire chief evaluation. So wanted to report that.
If everybody would please stand and join me in a pledge. So please join me in a pledge to the flag of the greatest country in the world. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please stay standing. And Chaplain Keith Roby, could you please deliver our invocation, please?
Please bow your heads with me. Loving and gracious God, we thank you for today and for all your blessings. As we gather this evening, we ask that you will be in our midst. Give us your wisdom to make decisions that will be pleasing to you. I pray for all our elected officials entrusted with the calling of public service. Keep them pure in heart and give them wisdom that they may continue to enhance and grow our cities for your glory and the good of all those that have placed their trust and their confidence in their leadership. We thank you for the administrators and the firefighters who serve the Chino Valley District and pray for your continued protection and abundant blessing over them. I thank you for those who are recognized tonight, that they have embodied the excellence, the integrity, the faithfulness, and the respect that is our creed. In 1 Chronicles, you tell us that you rejoice when we find integrity in our hearts. May you continue to give us wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. And last, I pray for our families, Lord, for the sacrifices that they've made, that we might serve our community. Watch over, comfort, and bless them. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. And clerk of the board, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Thank you. Okay. We have a proclamation, American Heart Month. Okay. This evening, we have one proclamation on the agenda. The proclamation is American Heart Month. Heart disease is responsible for 1 out of every 3 deaths in the United States, and while progress has been significant in reducing deaths, it is still the #1 killer of both women and men in the nation. The Fire District has developed a cardiac care program and has partnered with the community in an effort to strengthen the chain of survival by recognizing and simulating events to improve a system by partnering with local government agencies and the community to reach heart-safe status. On behalf of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors, I would like to proclaim February 2023 as American Heart Month, partnering and prepared to assist our community to reach heart-safe status. A full copy of the proclamation is included in our agenda. And
So next on our agenda, we're going to be doing presentations and announcements. And the first item on our agenda is employee recognition. And we'll invite President DeMonico and Fire Inspector Tori Jung to the front, please.
Fire District would like to thank Tori Jung for her actions on the structure fire that took place within the district on December 15, 2022. Tori was in the area and identified the structure fire, evacuated a family in the house, advised dispatch of the fire, and if that wasn't enough, she opened the hydrant next to the house to clear any debris. Tori's actions made for a quick response by floor personnel and prevented possible harm to the residents who were still in the house. Tori went above and beyond, and we thank her for her quick and decisive actions. And Tori, thank you so much.
So we were very fortunate to get Tori from another organization, and at the minute she got here, she actually brings a light of energy into the building here. She's always smiling and joking around and keeping the mood light. So she's one of those come and work hard, but have fun doing it. But when you're sitting in the prevention side of things, you're not expected to stop at fires and conduct herself the way she did. So for that, the community appreciates you. I appreciate you for taking the lead. We appreciate the leadership out of the CRR team, and thank you for leading from the front. Here.
Thanks.
You want a photo? Yes. She likes photos. Thank you, Tori.
One more.
Next, we are doing a retirement recognition, and we'd like to invite up firefighter paramedic Jeff Herringer.
This is kind of special for me. Jeff and I go way back to, we both worked in Hawthorne together a long, long time. So I'm really proud of you, Jeff. Firefighter paramedic Jeff Herringer started his career with the Chino Valley Fire District in July 1992. Prior to joining the fire district in 1992, Jeff was a paid call firefighter with OCFA from 1985 to 1987, a firefighter with Norco Fire Department from 1986 to 1987, and a firefighter paramedic with Hawthorne Fire Department from 1982 to 1992 when we stole him from Norco. During his tenure with the fire district, Jeff served 12 years as a member of the executive board of the Chino Valley Fire Professional Firefighters, Local 3522, in which he was president for 4 years. Jeff also served on the executive board of the Chino Valley Fire Foundation for a total of 27 years, in which 10 of those years were served as president. Jeff was also a member of the USAR team and hazmat team. In Jeff's spare time, he enjoys spending time with his family and his amazing wife, Kathy. He also enjoys hanging out at the beach and by the river and up in the mountains. Jeff, congratulations on your retirement.
These are always special moments. When I got here, Jeff was on the E-board. And besides knowing his job, well, first of all, he's one of those guys that he still looks the same. He's probably going to look the same when he's 80. He never ages.
Look this way, huh?
Jeff's one of those guys that knows his job really, really well. He's had to do some tremendous things through his career, like rescuing people out of buildings. That's not something that's really always common for us. But the one thing that always resonated with me about Jeff was his commitment to the community. He is a community-minded individual. He actually really, really cares. He didn't live in this town, but he treated everybody here like they were his neighbors. So for that, as the fire chief, as a friend, I appreciate you taking care of our community like it was one of your own for how many ever years you were here, and we appreciate you.
Would you like to say a few words, Jeff?
No, I do not. That was the easy part. Say a few words.
I got nothing. I got nothing. Yours just works.
Next, we would like to recognize the Employee of the Year, and we'd like to invite up Natalie Ceballos.
Natalie Ceballos began her employment with the Chino Valley Fire District in October 2019 as an information technology specialist. Natalie was raised in the city of Norwalk. She attended Cal State University Fullerton, where she graduated and received her Bachelor of Science in Computer Science degree. Currently, Natalie resides in the city of Santa Fe Springs. As an information technology specialist, Natalie serves as the first point of contact for the district by working directly with staff to resolve technologically related issues. Sorry for that, that was a big word for me. She performs a variety of support to the district, such as supporting the software, hardware, and network infrastructure, as well as evaluating new and enhanced approaches to deliver IT services. Natalie has accepted a position as a community liaison officer with the district. Becoming a CLO, it is an after-hours commitment to respond and assist to our suppression personnel and our stakeholders when they have suffered a loss or been displaced from their residence during an incident. She also volunteers her time as treasurer to the Chino Valley Fire Foundation. She spends many hours updating and maintaining financial statements and accurately tracking spending and vendor invoices. She shows the same passion and drive for the foundation as she does for the district. Natalie genuinely cares about the district and its employees and is always happy to help in any way she can, including decorating the holidays and birthdays. Natalie was nominated for her many contributions to the district. She is very attentive and detailed when assisting others. Her colleagues describe her as professional, who exudes a high work ethic and has a positive attitude and is quick to respond to assist to all employees. Natalie loves to travel and spends time with her family and friends in her free time. Congratulations, Natalie, on being selected as a 2022 Employee of the Year.
So for me, when I think of Natalie, I actually had a chance to interview Natalie when she was coming on here. And the one word that comes to mind is resolve. There was a manipulative thing in there that you had to strip some wire and plug some stuff together. And she was not going to leave without making sure time kept ticking. She was not going to leave without making sure that it was done. So her commitment to be resolved, to get things accomplished is phenomenal. And the one thing that I would believe that anybody in this building, when Natalie walks up and down the halls, anytime you need anything, she is always willing to stop what she's doing and come over and make sure that you have what you need. So for that, we appreciate you and congratulations.
Next, we want to recognize the Firefighter of the Year, and we invite up firefighter paramedic Ryan Porosinian.
Ryan Porosinian was hired as a firefighter paramedic with the fire district on January 22nd, 2007. He was raised in Pomona, California, and went to Damien High School. Ryan attended Fresno State University and received his Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology in 2002. He currently resides in Eastvale, California, with his wife Holly and their 4 children, Whitley, Riley, Reagan, and Tyson. Ryan has been an active member of the district and has served on the Homeland Security Committee, EMS Committee, the Wellness Committee, and Ryan is a hazardous material specialist and a terror liaison officer? I have that correct? You're a terror officer? Very good. He is also an outreach instructor for the California State Training Institute, HAZMAT, and is a member of the Committee for Tactical Emergency Casualties Care, HAZMAT, and CBRNE Defense, working with group chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense. Ryan is currently a member of the Fire District Fire Control 3 Training Cadre, the Honor Guard, the Hazmat Team Training Cadre, and a member of the Firefighter Safety and Survival Cadre. Ryan has a passion for EMS and is an ACLS instructor and a CPR instructor. He is also a member of the American Heart Association Regional Facility for California and Nevada, and is a member of the American Heart Association Training Facility. Ryan is currently assigned to Station 61C shift in the city of Chino and serves on a variety of different committees, both the CVFD and outside of our organization. Congratulations, Ryan, on being selected a 2022 Firefighter of the Year.
I didn't realize they were gonna use Ryan to model this statue. But with that being said, we'll hand this to him. So for those of you that may or may not know Ryan, Ryan is very humble, and he'll be the first one to tell you that nothing gets done alone, and he's quick to give credit to his cadre of his high-performance CPR program. What I'm gonna be quick to say is we are highlighted as a fire district because of Ryan, because of his commitment to engage at a grassroots level, develop this program so that at this point we're well above 60% of survivability post-cardiac arrest as a grassroots initiative that was started by Ryan. So we appreciate that. To your family, you probably heard all the things that he's involved with, so we appreciate your willingness to allow him to have time to be here so that this community can be better because of him. So Ryan, and those of you that don't know, this is, I believe, at least the second, maybe the third time Ryan has been awarded this honor. Some people go their whole career and never get it. So a testament to your hard work. We appreciate you and everything you do, and keep it up.
How many AEDs in the community? About 250, and we've donated about 43 of them. Wow, yeah.
And over 400 bleed safe kits, I believe.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have the Employee Service Awards for 15 years of service. First, we would like to recognize Fire Chief Dave Williams.
Well, this is a pleasure too, because Chief Williams and I go back to a different department I was on together a while back, so. You're all realizing how old I really am now, but I am. So anyhow, Fire Chief Dave Williams was hired with the Chino Valley Fire District in February 2008 as a firefighter paramedic. Dave was promoted to captain in 2015, battalion chief in 2018, deputy chief in 2019, and fire chief in 2021. Dave also served as a training captain for 2 years during his time, and as a captain, Dave has an Associate of Science. That didn't make sense. Wait a minute. Let me rephrase it. Dave also served as a training captain for 2 years, and during his time serving as captain, Dave has an associate degree in fire and emergency medical services from Mount San Antonio College, a Bachelor of Science degree in business and human resources from Cal Poly Pomona, and a Master of Business Administration degree in organizational leadership from the University of Laverne. Dave has 2 children, 18-year-old Lauren and 15-year-old Dominic. And in his free time, Dave enjoys attending and participating in his children's sports and activities. Congratulations and thank you for your 15 years of service with the district, Dave. Chief?
You can take your own.
Chief can send his own pen.
We're gonna have to hire someone to do this cell phone thing. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Congratulations, Chief.
Next, for 15 years of service, we're recognizing Captain Casey May.
Is Casey here?
Casey was not able to make it tonight.
Okay, I'm going to read Casey's bio for everybody as well. Captain Casey May was not able, oh, it says so right here. Captain Casey May was not able to attend the meeting. Although he could not be here with us tonight, we want to recognize his service. Fire Captain Casey May was hired with the Chino Valley Fire District in February of 2008 as a firefighter paramedic. He was promoted to engineer in 2011 and to captain in 2019. Casey was raised in the city of Upland, where he attended Upland High School. Casey attended Mount San Antonio College and completed his paramedic schooling in 2005. In 2018, he successfully obtained his associate in fire science degree in Columbia Southern University. Casey currently resides in the city of Upland with his wife, Nicole, and his two loving kids, Avery and Paige. In his free time, he enjoys spending time with his family, going to the river, and camping. Casey is currently assigned to Medic Engine 67 A shift. Congratulations to Casey on 15 years of service with the district, and we will make sure that he receives his well-earned award. So Casey, thank you, even though you're not here, maybe you're watching. So,
Next, we would like to invite up Engineer Russell Tao for 15 years of service.
Fire Engineer Russell Tao was hired with the Chino Valley Fire District in February of 2008 as a firefighter paramedic and was promoted to engineer in 2012. Russell attended the Fire Academy at Rio Hondo College in 1991 and received his paramedic schooling from Daniel Freeman Paramedic School in 1993. Russell has an Associate of Science degree in fire science and is currently in pursuit of his bachelor degree from Columbia Southern University. Russell has two children, 14-year-old Emma and 12-year-old Logan. In his free time, Russell enjoys camping and fishing and working on hot rods. Russell is currently assigned to Medic Engine 64 A shift. Congratulations and thank you for your 15 years of service with the district, Russell. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That concludes our presentations, and we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Perfect. Thank you. Convene our meeting.
First item on the agenda is public communications. This is the time and place for the general public to address the Board of Directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue not on the agenda. When you address the board, please state your name and address prior to making your remarks, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. President DeMonico, I do have one request to speak under public communications, and that is from Wynn Williams.
Am I up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. This is mostly directed toward Tom Howie. I know it sounds like a bad thing, but this is your second meeting, Tom. And when I had my second meeting, Sarah Evinger, Director Evinger, asked me if I'd resign from the board. And I felt that that was really out of place. Second meeting, but this is your second meeting. Will you resign, Tom? How about it? Maybe I'll give you something to remember, like I had something to remember. Okay, so with that said, it was totally out of place for her to do that. And then she comes after me because I asked a lawyer if he celebrated Christmas. She says, I can't believe you asked him about that. Like that was a big deal, but it was okay to ask me to resign from the board. And that was in open session, by the way. The thing I'd like to talk to you about, Tom, is you sat on the city council there in Chino, where I live, and it's your responsibility as a city council member to protect the citizens. And you fell down on the job. And the thing I'm talking about is you hired all you can do is call them predators of Silver and Wright. It's a law firm to come after the citizens for minor violations and stuff like that. And the idea is to get their houses and put them in receivership. I know on Chino Avenue, there were 4 houses that they took out completely, and now they're in the last newspaper, I think it was an article about, talking about homeless, having a committee for homelessness and stuff like that. And it's contrary to what is going on. But you were on the city council, and the thing is you yesed everything instead of asking questions and that type of thing. And obviously, you know, these people aren't there for the benefit of Chino or the benefit of the citizens. They were there to extract money from the citizens that you were supposed to be protecting. And my question is you going to do that here? You're going to do that here in the fire department? You know, when I went to get a copy of the warrant, Mike Heroux, who was in charge of the public taking care of that, was smirking and laughing about red tagging my house. He thought that was a big joke. I have never, ever gone out on a fire and seen people where they couldn't live in their house and stuff and laughed at them because they didn't have a place to live. But that's what your employee did. And that's the kind of people that you were hiring and the kind of people you have, just like Silver and Wright. So I'm asking you, as a director of the Chino Fire Department, to make sure you don't do things like that anymore, to ask questions and to make sure that things go the way they should. And that's the main thing that I wanted to have. And also, at the last meeting, you guys always get the last word, and I know that I had some problems there with the fire department's club, or whatever you want to call it. I'm drawing a blank right now, a little old age, you know. So anyway, you know, and they invited me to a party, a dinner, and then they turned around and they uninvited me. And I mean, I've never seen anything so tacky and crappy in all my life. And I just, I want to bring that up, and I'm going to be taking it on the road. And so anyway, I'm sorry, but that's the way things went. And there's a lawsuit, of course, going on with the city of Chino because of the way they are. So hopefully it's not going to happen, something like that won't happen with the fire department. And just remember, you're here to serve the public and to take care of the public, not to offer them up to predators. Thank you very much.
That is the only written request to speak that I have. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to address the board under public communications? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the liaison reports to the fire district. First, we'd like to invite up Suzette Ding from San Bernardino County 4th District Supervisor's Office.
Well, good evening, President DeMonico, Vice President Luth, Directors, Chief Williams, staff, and audience members. This is Suzette Dang with your County Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office. First of all, congratulations to all our honorees tonight. I just wanted to say from everyone from our Board of Directors to our staff and to our firefighters and inspectors, you guys are awesome. You guys are one of the best fire departments around, hands down. So congratulations to every one of you. Secondly, Supervisor Hagman is hosting a shredding event. It will be Saturday, March 11th at the Montclair City Hall parking lot located 5111 Benito Street in Montclair. Time will be between 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or until the shredding truck reaches capacity. It is limited to 3 standard-size filing boxes per vehicle. It will be a drive-through event, and it is free for all San Bernardino County residents. And secondly, Supervisor Hagman is accepting applications to fill the Community Commission in the District Attorney's Office. For those interested, you must be a resident of the 4th District, which includes Chino, Chino Hills, Montclair, Ontario, and portions of Upland. If you're interested, please go ahead and submit your letter of interest along with a resume and 3 references. And for any details and information, please go ahead and contact our office. You can call 465-5265. And with that, I wish everyone a very happy, lovely Valentine's Day with your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will invite up Mayor Pro Tem Karen Comstock from the City of Chino.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Fire Board and executive staff. As I look across the floor tonight, I only do not recognize two of the people sitting up here, and that's Mark Shaker and Mr. Jeff Bollinger. I have a personal and a professional relationship with each of you that I admire and respect immensely. In fact, several of you have been mentors to me throughout my career. Tom, congratulations on your election to the Fire Board. I know you're going to serve this board and this community well in your new capacity. I did ask the mayor out into my third year of this position to actually serve in this liaison role. My first 2 years, I was actually a liaison. One of my roles was a liaison to the school district. While I enjoyed that, with my strong support of public safety in the background and in my professional career, I was actually looking forward to when the mayor and the rest of my colleagues on the city council adopted our new committee assignments. I was very, very honored to be the liaison now to the Fire Board. This community, the Fire Board and the Police Department, our council, and as well as this board, has a reputation and a history of doing phenomenal work for the Chino Valley. And I'm going to make sure that that continues in our history moving forward. So I ask of any of you to call upon me in the future if I can be of any assistance, and I look forward to working with all of you as your new liaison. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, and we're here for you as well, so if you need anything, don't ever hesitate to contact us.
I'm sorry, if I would have known I was going to speak, I would have worn something this
And next, we will invite up Councilmember Art Bennett from the City of Chino Hills.
Good evening, board, executive staff, and public. Karen, it's good to see you here as liaison. You know, it just shows that we've had a couple of really great mayor pro tems in the city of Chino. Her right now, Mark Lucio, I believe, before her, and Tom Howie before that. So we know that the service runs deep, wide, and very, very respectfully within the city of Chino Hills, or in Chino, excuse me, and hopefully within the Chino Hills also. Tom, you are new, but you probably received, we send out, I have sent in advance our public information report, so we won't have to go through all of that each time. However, there is one thing that's going on that hopefully will not affect you guys too much within the district, but that's the construction that's going on with the flyovers lanes going from eastbound Pomona to 91 to the northbound 71. That's going to be quite a project, obviously, but it will eliminate that circle, that loop that currently is a bottleneck for people coming home from Orange County and Los Angeles in the evenings.
Did you say that was starting? They were.
It's in the process. That I don't know if they've actually broken ground. I believe they have, but it is Caltrans. They're continuing to work on the project affecting the 71, and the Riverside County Transportation Commission will soon begin the project for the reconstruction of that 7191. Okay.
That was been planned for a long time. I'm glad
It's been forever, and of course, they can't seem to address southbound 71 to westbound 91, which affects a lot of our residents. So hopefully that will happen in the future. We are going to, at our next meeting, provide proclamations for the Lunar New Year and for Black History Month in February. So I wanted to let you know about that. We have just found out in the last couple of days, we've got two significant retirements that are going to be occurring at the end of next month. Joanne Lombardo, who is our Director of Community Development, and Winston Ward, who is the assistant, who does all the plan checks, and they've been around since cityhood, basically. Joanne was not one of our original community development directors, but when I served on the Planning Commission, she was actually a consultant to the Planning Commission at the time, and of course has been our Director of Community Development for quite some time. They are going to be leaving it in the city in good hands. We are actively looking for a replacement or someone to fill in and try to fill in the big shoes that Winston's going to leave. And we already have some ideas for a community development director, but that will be going open to, basically an open call for that, to fill that position. So some big things are going to be happening. But again, if you have a significant other, be sure that by next Tuesday, which happens to be our council meeting, great night for a council meeting right on Valentine's Day, but have a great Valentine's Day. Let's continue to go ahead this year and continue to make the fire district and our cities all the great things and do all the great things that they can do. You know, when you talk about these retirements, every time someone retires, it seems like you guys have got a backfill because your succession planning at all levels within the district is just phenomenal. The people that are given the awards and recognition for all of their contributions to the fire district, which then contributes to the residents, is just unbelievable and second to none. So keep up the good work, and again, happy belated New Year, and let's have a great 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Vice President Jeff Taitula from the Chino Valley Fire Foundation.
Board of Directors, command staff, thanks for having me up here. I know that we're always on the agenda and not always do we come up and speak to what's going on with the foundation. So we just have a couple things to mention. First of all, next month, just to give everybody a heads up, in the past around St. Patty's Day, we have done a fundraiser for the foundation. We're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we've done in the past. It's actually going to be surrounding or being put on by our Pipes and Drums band, which has finally grown and been together long enough that they feel comfortable. It unfortunately takes a few years to learn the instruments, especially the pipes, and we have enough pipers now that we're actually going to do a fundraiser on St. Patty's Day. It's going to start at September's. It's going to move to Limericks and then end up at Roscoe's. It's going to start about 3 p.m. and end about 7. So they're going to play a set at each of the first two and then 2 different sets at Roscoe's. So if you guys are up for a little fun on St. Patty's Day, our Pipes and Drums will be playing at those 3 different restaurants. So that's on the good note. On a kind of a sad note, one of our family members was hospitalized last month out at Loma Linda with a pretty significant medical issue. They received great care while they were out there, and while they were out there for a few days, I think some of the hospital staff actually had brought up, they knew they were a family member of the department here, and they said, hey, what do you guys think about doing a blood drive? So we brought that back to the district, and our goal was to donate about 30 units of blood. After overwhelming response the first day, we actually did it for 2 days, and I think we were able to donate over 90 units of blood out at Loma Linda. So it was pretty neat to see. So thank you guys for all your support, and have a very happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next, we will invite up Director Stephen Eli from the Inland Empire Utilities Agency.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Chief, staff, everybody, other directors. Welcome to your 3rd meeting, Tom. Appreciate having you here and serving our community as you have for 30, 40 years. I have good, great, and greater today. Good, which has required me to read, is that this past Monday, your staff, significant portions of your staff, took me up on the offer and went out and toured, got an intro to Inland Empire Utilities Agency, who we are, what we do. I think you may recall we have 3 or 4 facilities here in the city of Chino, in the city of Chino, not here, but in your district. And I'm still waiting for us to schedule for at least 2 of you directors at a time so we don't have a Brown Act violation. But we'd love to have you out. Chief Williams, Deputy Chief Alt, Deputy Chief Skibar, Acting Deputy Chief Smith, Anthony, the HR Director, and Angela, your clerk, came out and got a tour, and I think they really got a better understanding of who we are and what we do and the service that we provide to the community, which is another special district like yours. And so I call that the good. It's just continuing the great relationship and understanding of who we all are and what we do. The great, this morning, actually, I participated at IEUA in active shooter training put on by Chino PD and Mike Moore. I got the last name right? Your captain, trainer. And they did at least 3, maybe 4 of those active shooter trainings at IEUA headquarters. We had almost 60 people at the one I attended this morning. So again, continuing the relationship, the positive, getting ready, you know, obviously it's more than just shooting, right? And as a big employer in the district, it's important that we are aware of what's going on. Now, it was kind of funny, or ironic, I guess. They went outside and shot some blanks, and they said, you know, what does that sound like? Okay, it sounds like the shots coming from the firing range down the street, which, you know, we hear all the time. But in all seriousness, the training component is so important, just like the Bleed Safe program that Ryan P. is very involved in. On the greater or greatest, I have to tell you a personal story. My father-in-law had a heart attack in late November, and his wife was able to revive him for a little bit, and then a crew came out and brought him back again, took him to Pomona Valley. Unfortunately, he did not survive. But in December, I got a text from one of your firefighters, and he said, I met your kids today. I said, what do you mean you met my kids? Well, turns out that they had gone back to the widow's home, so my mother-in-law, and brought her flowers because they had heard that he had passed. And that commitment to our community just speaks multiple volumes of this organization. Our firefighter paramedics, our teams, those guys just did it on their own. Nobody told them that's the right thing to do. They knew. They did it. They took care of her. They felt sorry for her. Obviously, they did their best. It wasn't, he was 84 years old and overweight and, you know, and a lot of other things. But nonetheless, they took care of him, and that just shows from the top, from the board on to every other employee that this district cares about our community, and that shows it. So I just wanted to share that with you and share that with the public, that we have the best fire department around by millions of miles. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other liaisons present today who would like to address the board?
Charlie? Charlie? Okay.
The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar.
Okay, consent calendar. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. If any board member wishes to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion, please state the item number and that you wish to pull.
I move that we accept items number 1 through 7.
And I'll second that.
I have a motion by Director Krieger and a second by Director Evansure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is new business. Item number 8, 2022-23 mid-year budget review and analysis. The purpose is to conduct a mid-year budget review for discussion purposes. Report by Finance Director Mark Shaker.
Thank you. So we're already in February. We're more than halfway through the fiscal year 2022-23, which means it's time to do a mid-year review. And we're already hard at work on the 23-24 budget. We'll start with revenues, and everything I'm talking about today is as of December 31. Total revenues amounted to 54% of budget compared to a range of 48 to 56% in the past 4 fiscal years. Property tax-related revenues, including current services, are at 54% of budget, which is exactly where we were 1 year ago. The main driver in the increase, at least as a total budget perspective, is really related to mutual aid recoveries, about a $953,000 decrease in mutual aid over the prior year, and that's really just due to decreased mutual aid activity in the current year compared to last year. We always budget for mutual aid conservatively because we really don't know what the fire season holds for us from year to year, and high activity in one year does not necessarily mean that we will have high activity in the year following. Overall, however, mutual aid recoveries are still net positive over budget, approximately $750,000 in unbudgeted revenues on the positive side. Assistance by Hire program, which was initiated to provide emergency transport services starting in August of 2021, expired in October of 2022. Fiscal year-to-date revenues associated with the ABH agreement is approximately $880,000. The program was not contemplated in the 22-23 budget due to the uncertain nature of its continuance, so we will be needing to make an adjustment for those revenues. Additionally, there is an agreement with the Confire JPA and Chino Valley Fire District to provide a temporary assistant to the director position. This agreement began early in fiscal year 2022-23, I believe in July. Current revenues associated with this agreement are about $125,000. Revenues and expenses associated with the agreement were also not contemplated in the 22-23 budget. And finally, to close out revenues, approximately $790,000 was budgeted in revenues in the capital acquisitions account, which related to the Chino Hills contribution for Fire Station 68. The recognition method has been changed due to governmental accounting standards and requirements there to where we recognized all the revenues actually in fiscal year 21-22. So we will need to back out that out of the 22-23 budget when we present our budget amendments. Overall, total revenues received this fiscal year to date as of December 31st are largely in line with that of the recent years, with the exception of mutual aid. Moving on to expenditures, fiscal year-to-date expenses were 48% of overall budget through December, compared to a range of 42 to 52% in the past 4 years. Salary and benefit expenses for the fiscal year are trending a little lower than in recent past years, and again, it's due to mutual aid activity. So we're not going out on as many strike teams, so there's a decreased overtime component to that. The detailed portion of the December monthly financial report is attached to this report. Items shaded in blue represent favorable budget trends, and those shaded in red represent unfavorable budget trends. And a 5-year budget summary at mid-year is also presented. Budgetary savings may result from unexpected funds in the areas of regular salaries and the related benefit accounts, due primarily to open positions and natural attrition throughout the year, as well as workers' comp. There's an inverse relationship between regular staffing costs and overtime costs due to the constant staffing nature of the district. It's anticipated that final budget adjustments for this fiscal year will be presented to the board in April, and no board action is required at this time. And also based on budget surplus realized last fiscal year and board policy, staff will be bringing forward recommendations for additional discretionary pension contributions for the board's consideration at that time as well. Any approved request will necessitate a budget amendment at that time. That is the end of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to see if we have any requests to speak from the public. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. This is the time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name, and I'll start with Director Evansher.
Thank you.
Director Krieger.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Director Howie.
I'm fine.
Vice President Luth.
No, we had opportunity to discuss earlier with Mark, and I appreciate the report.
And I did too in our Finance Committee meeting, and so I don't have any comments either. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to, is this a receive and file, or do we need a motion? I know it says motion, but it's a report. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is item number 9, agreement number 2023-01 with Schuster Advisory Group for fiduciary services, and resolution number 2023-01, appointing the Human Resources Director as Plan Administrator. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to review, approve, and authorize the Fire Chief to execute agreement number 2023-1 with Schuster Advisory Group to provide investment, advisory, and fiduciary services for the Chino Valley Fire District's deferred compensation plans. Additionally, approve resolution number 2023-01, appointing the Human Resources Director as Plan Administrator. Resolution is at the board's discretion and does not affect the agreement with Schuster Advisory Group. Report by Human Resources Director Anthony Arroyo, and joining us by teleconference is Joanne Perino with Schuster Advisory Group.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Board President and members of the board. Before you this evening is an agreement with Schuster Advisory Group to serve as the investment advisor and provide fiduciary services for the fire district's deferred compensation plans. Also requested is a resolution appointing the position of HR Director to be the plan administrator for the deferred comp plans. As background, the fire district provides 401A deferred compensation contributions as a benefit to its employees. Employees are also permitted to contribute to a 457 plan if they so choose. Deferred compensation plans are offered by many providers. In the district's case, the provider is Nationwide, which is a popular provider to many municipal and government entities. All deferred compensation plans, providers rather, have fees that are paid for by participants, i.e. the employees. Fees vary based on the investments, and the more funds one has in their deferred comp plan, the more one pays. Upon my start with the district a few months ago, I contacted Schuster Advisory Group, given the success I had with them at a prior agency in reducing that agency's fees. I wanted Schuster Advisory Group to analyze the Nationwide plan and the fees paid by the district employees. Schuster's team looked at the district's plan and discovered that employees are paying higher fees than what we could be paying. As a result, and because of Schuster's success with over 80 government agencies and special districts, Schuster's team was able to negotiate lower fees. Currently, over $224,000 in fees is paid per year. As a result of the proposed change, the fees will be reduced to an annual amount of just over $95,000, which is a savings of $129,000 that employees will realize. These lower fees will result in more of the employees' monies being reinvested rather than going to Nationwide. This reduction also includes the $2,500 monthly fee paid to Schuster, which will be paid from the total plan assets. The proposed agreement presented this evening will allow the district to engage the services of Schuster Advisory Group. Schuster's team will continuously monitor the investment options presented by Nationwide to ensure our employees are being offered the best investment choices for their deferred compensation plan. Changes will be made should there be better performing options. In addition, district staff or elected officials should not act as the fiduciaries of investment plans offered by Nationwide. This puts the district in a position of liability, being that we, as representatives of the district, do not have the requisite expertise to assure the investment options provided by Nationwide meet the expectations of our employees. Schuster Advisory Group will assume this role. Also included in this report, and if the board so desires, is to establish a position of the Human Resources Director as the plan administrator for the deferred compensation plan. Being that the deferred compensation plan is a benefit to employees, the role of the plan administrator should be the responsibility of the Human Resources Director. Should this occur, the HR Director will advise the HR Committee on an as-needed basis regarding any changes to the investment options. Should the board not opt to approve this resolution, any items needing district approval will be presented to the board, which is not common in government agencies. Board of Directors, that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And once again, for more technical questions, Ms. Joanne Perino from Schuster Advisory Group is on the phone. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any requests to speak from the public on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. This is the time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions and make your remarks when I call your name. Director Evans?
I have no questions
Director
about this.
Krieger.
I had them all.
Yeah, I read the report, and I just want to confirm that you spoke with union memberships on this as well.
Yeah, I was going to add that, but it was too late for me to do so. Yes, we met with the union groups, the Teamsters and the Fire Association in maybe September, October, and some of the members from the representative group got the information, but we're having another meeting with them a week from Thursday.
Okay, excellent.
A couple of them had questions, but I was able to answer those questions, but I just thought we have, Joanne Perino is going to come out next, the 15th, I believe it is.
Director Howie?
Yeah, the question, Anthony, has the district in the past negotiated any of those fees prior than using Nationwide? Did they ever had, I don't know the history, obviously, because it seems like all of a sudden we bring somebody else in and they can find all these big discounts for these fees. My question was, has the district in the past gone through this process before?
That's probably a more technical question that I can have Ms. Perino answer, but I know in my prior experience, there's a lot of fees that are hidden from from our review, if you will, when looking at the plans. We don't know what to look for. The prior agency I was at, we were told we were given fee reductions, but we were not necessarily given the fee reductions for the plans that we had. Joanne, if you're on the phone, if you want to just add more to that question?
Sure. Good evening to the board. Thank you for your time and for the question. I can't answer whether or not the district had previously tried to negotiate with Nationwide, but we have over 82 public agencies, and whenever we've done an assessment like we did for your Nationwide plans, it's come back where there may have been a time where a record keeper, and that's what Nationwide is, has come and proposed reduction in fees. They're usually, nominal, 10%, 20%. But until an advisor who's used to identifying the fees that are hidden inside the mutual fund costs, like Anthony just mentioned, but also in auditing and finding fees that they are charging but maybe not able to be seen directly on statements, we have been able to identify those, and we go back to the record keepers, and in your case, we're able to negotiate their fees down 90% from where they are now. And that most of those fees are baked into the cost of the investment options that you have in the plan. And so part of the savings, and because they're baked into those investment options, you don't see what you're paying. So not only is the fee savings, but it's also moving your platform to a transparent model so that you know exactly the fee that you're paying for the service. The enhanced menu of investments will not have any more of those baked-in fees.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanne.
Well, that sounds good, and I have no objection to, making a change if it's going to save the district money. And I see we're not signing a long-term contract with Schuster. We can pretty much.
We can stop the contract within 60 days' notice on both ends.
Right, I saw that. So, okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
And may I add a comment about the contract?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. I want to make sure I've got the right protocol. We have a long history of providing similar service to corporations in their 401k plan, which is just the equivalent of a 457B plan. And the way that we go about our business is we are not in the business to sign into long-term contracts. That is something that public agencies usually do. You don't see that in the corporate world. We don't believe that long-term contracts benefit clients. So whether it's with a record keeper or even with an advisory firm, we want to perform. We also want to, that makes us have to show up, do our job, and continue to do what's in your best interest. And that is one of the reasons why we don't have a long-term contract and an easy 60-day out, is we have to prove our worth constantly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice President Luth.
Thank you. Insurance, so does this change any insurance requirements we have as a district in terms of fiduciary liability insurance or?
No, sir.
Okay. And you'll be serving the role of plant administrator. What, do we know what that really entails, what your role would be?
My experience in my 20-plus years in government, it just usually requires my signature of somebody who needs a loan against their deferred comp plan. If there are any changes to the investment options, they need somebody approval here. So in order to expedite that process, it's just best to do it at a staff level, and if and when that occurs, the HR committee will be convened to advise them of those changes.
Okay, but you're not having to make
No.
decisions regarding any, okay.
No, sir.
And this will relieve the district of fiduciary liabilities?
Correct, yes. It's a role because we don't have that expertise. We're not in the private corporation, as Joanne stated, where they have perhaps a CFO who monitors the investments of those 401k options. That's the position we don't want to put ourselves in. And again, Joanne, if you don't mind adding to that, if you so desire.
Sure. So it reduces greatly the district's liability. And just to take a step back, the district is always, as the plan sponsor, always the main fiduciary. The state of California mandates that the district follow fiduciary process, and with that, you have the responsibility to make sure that the plan is in the best interest of participants, and in doing that, you also have the authority to hire service providers like a Nationwide, like a Schuster, to help with your record keeping, but then a Schuster helps with the investment fiduciary piece. So we are a full fiduciary with investment authority. We would bring the menu to the district, and if for any reason there was any type of audit from, a federal agency, labor, they would be the one that audits 457 plans, then they would actually be interviewing us in regards to the investment processes. And if you didn't have a Schuster or another type of advisor, and if something went on in the plan from an investment perspective, it would be the board that would be live. So the DOL would be interviewing you, saying, why do you have these funds in the Nationwide lineup? How often are you reviewing them? Do you know what fees you have? And so what we do is we come to you and we actually fulfill all of those responsibilities. So when we meet in the future, everything is transparent. We show the process that's followed. And then you, as the plan sponsor, shows that you've hired us as a service provider to help you fulfill your fiduciary responsibility.
Okay, yeah, my work in the past, I've served as a trustee for a 401K and other retirement plans. It is not a comfortable place to be at times, and if you don't have someone like this in the middle of it, you really rely on your provider and the information they give you. And what I'm hearing now, they don't always necessarily lead you, in the right path in terms of costs and whatnot. So I'm totally in favor of this. I appreciate what it sounds like they're going to be able to do for us and for our folks who have monies invested here. So I appreciate this. I'm glad you brought this forward, and we have the opportunity to lower some costs and get better service for our people. So thank you.
Thank you.
And just one clarification for me, when we're lowering the costs, we're lowering the costs for the employees,
Correct, yes, sir.
not the district. This is not a windfall for the district.
Correct,
Saying
yeah.
This is lowering the cost for the employees. Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that clear. With that, any other comments? I'd like to request a motion.
Motion to approve?
A motion by Director Evinger,
I'll second.
second by Vice President Luth. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is item number 10, Fire District Policy and Procedures for Board of Directors. Purposes for the Board of Directors to review recommended changes to the Fire District Policy and Procedures for Board of Directors and provide direction to staff. Staff report this evening is by myself, Clerk of the Board, Angela Robles. Good evening, President DeMonica, members of the board. The item before you tonight is the redlined policy and procedures with recommended changes for discussion and direction to staff. This redlined document was included in the agenda packet, and as stated in the report, legal counsel will conduct a review following this meeting, and the item will be brought back to the board on March 8th for consideration and approval. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Do we have any requests from the public to speak on this item?
President DeMonica, we do have one request from Wynn Williams.
Thank you, board members. And my only statement is recently in the newspaper, in a community in Riverside County, I saw Jeff Ballinger's name, and they were having some of the same issues that we had back when I first got on the board, kind of, where I made some statements or whatever, and they were considered mean or offensive. And in reading the article, about, I can't remember what community it was, so I'm sure Jeff knows. And anyway, they were talking about one of the board members where they were kind of doing the same thing that you guys did to me, where they were going to stifle her and whatnot. And I can't think of that word either, see. So anyway, my thing is we live in the United States, and freedom of speech is a given right. You can't tell a person they can't say something. You can tell them they can't use certain words and stuff like that that are offensive and that type of thing. But just like if you have something to say about one of the employees, good or bad, you have a right to say it as a board member. And you can't stifle somebody because you don't like what they say.
Mr. Williams, are you speaking to the board policies?
Board policy, yeah.
The agenda, this is the agenda item.
The board policies, you know, where as a board member, I was going on the board policies. And this is for the directors, right?
This is for changes to the board policy.
Yeah, for the directors, and changes need to be made.
So my question is what are you referring to in the board policies that we're changing or not changing?
Well, the issue is we've got to make sure that we follow, I'm going to say the law or constitutional rights of an individual. You can't tell a person they can't talk. And if the board policy says that they can't say something, oh, well, it's offensive or something like that, then that's stifling them and that's violating their right.
Do you have a section in our board policies where it says we say that you can't say something?
No, I don't. I don't even know what the board policy is. I haven't seen it this time. I'm just telling you that in the past that's gone on, and they were doing it over there where Jeff is sitting on their council, the way he's sitting here. And the thing is I'm just saying as a citizen that you've got to make sure that you give people their due, and their due is to be able to say things whether you like it or not.
I understand that, but is there a section in our board policy that you're recommending we change or alter? Can you give us a section to look at so we can understand where you want changes?
I can't give you specifics. I can only tell you the way things went for me and the way things are. And I'm just saying that you've got a lawyer and he needs to understand the law. That's all. And he needs to give people, you, as board members, your right to speak. That's all I'm getting at. When I was on the board, I got banged, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it, and whatnot, because I had said some things that you guys took them to be offensive when I was speaking. And you can't tell people, well, you're offending people, so you can't speak. They're doing the same thing over there in Riverside. That's all I'm getting at. And I think you know what I'm talking about. You're the one that said, oh, I've got 4 things that are against you. I can remember that meeting, and you had 4 things, and some of it had to do with things that I had said. But if I don't like something, or if you don't like something, you have a right to bring it up, and you have a right to say it. It's not a deal where we're here to pat everybody on the back all the time. That's all I'm getting at. And it's not just freedom of speech, it has to do with everything in the board. Make sure that it's up to the law. That's all I'm getting at. I don't want to see things go the way they did for me when I was on the board. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
So give them their due.
Your time's completed, and we'll consider your comments. Okay, is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the board for comments. And before we get started, our process is we have the red line here for the board to go through and make your comments on anything that you like or don't like, or anything you'd like to have added, it's the time to make the adjustment. From this point, after the meeting, this will move forward to legal for basically wordsmithing and legal approval for the proposed changes. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and start with the board and see if we have any comments from any of the board members with regards to any of the proposals within this red line version of the board policies and procedures. And I'd like to start with Director Evinger.
Or should we start maybe like go with this grid and maybe go down, because this is the condensed version, and maybe we can all, should we just comment and go? I think that might be easiest if we kind of do it in, or do you want us to all do it separately?
I don't know, what's the board's pleasure? I mean, what would make it easier for the board in general? I'm open either way.
Okay. Maybe we can start page 1 of 16, go through, and if we agree or we.
Okay.
What are you
So-
looking
we don't
at?
have
I don't have that.
Oh, I have that because I was at ad hoc.
Yeah, we don't have this thing, we have the
Okay.
folder that,
All right.
Okay.
So we can, I think just maybe just start, I guess we can start up like,
start with page 1.
yeah, and we can
Sure.
just go through that. Okay.
So red on page 1, we have section 1130.
Yes.
Which would be an add-on community support fund.
Yes.
And there's nothing in the pages to support.
No.
that is.
So what the
what-
suggestion
Yeah, I gotta
is, do
get
you
to
want to
page
read
one.
that or is you,
Right here.
okay. So I'm going to have the clerk
Oh,
of the
in
board.
in the,
Yeah.
in the table of contents.
Yeah.
Oh,
So in clerk of the board, we'll read that,
Oh.
what the suggestion is for that, you guys.
Okay.
Okay?
So the first revision that was proposed was to include a new section to create or establish a community support fund. And the suggestion was to allocate $2,500 per board member to authorize expenditures to local nonprofits. The expenditures would serve a public purpose by helping organizations continue to provide beneficial services to the community. So this was included on the table of contents, and if agreed to by the board, it would be then referred to legal counsel for assistance with developing that section.
Okay, and that would be a whole new section added in here, because we don't have an 1130 right now.
Correct.
In our board policies. So this would be a new section of community support fund. Now, I believe the city of Chino does this. I don't know if the city of Chino Hills does
Chino
it or
Hills
not.
does it as
They
well.
do.
Does it as well. So I have a question for Jeff. With the community support fund as proposed, any disbursement of those funds, would that organization that would be receiving those funds have to have a nexus to the fire district, or could it be just to another nonprofit?
From a legal perspective, it wouldn't have to have a nexus. If the board wishes to impose that restriction on itself, you can certainly do that. But as a matter of state law, that wouldn't be required, no.
Okay, so there's no law preventing that then? That's the question I had on that. But I'm gonna go ahead and open this up to the board for comments.
I like the way that she worded it. I like that it was pretty clear and concise. It has to be an approved nonprofit. It should be only within our community, if you will. And
Should we include, though, that it should be a nexus of the fire district?
I don't think so. Well, you know, how do you determine what a nexus is? I think that's what
Carbon
Jeff would
Canyon
say.
Fire
is-
I just wanted to make
Council.
sure that we weren't violating the law when I
Right,
asked
so
about that.
so there's
But I
one
think it right
nonprofit
away.
you just mentioned. Okay,
So
but I
everything
think
goes
there's
through.
plenty others that still have a benefit to the community as a whole. So that's, I liked how Angela
Okay.
stated.
And that will still, we will make the recommendation, right? And then it'll still have to come before the board for full approval, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I'm good with this. I'd like to add this in.
I would just like to ask to have a dollar amount put in there.
It is.
It
it's
is
a
$2,500, yeah.
per
Oh,
person.
I probably have it on my other page. I don't have it on right here.
She.
Oh, you said it.
She
I'm
gave
sorry.
a verbal report.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have my glasses on, not my hearing aids.
So
Thank you.
are we taking action on this separate, or is it all
Well,
part of the whole thing?
We'll just, I think, write a note and then we can accept it maybe at the end, or do you want to take action?
So
right now?
tonight, we're seeking direction from the board. This is the first time that the board has an opportunity the board as a full has had an opportunity to review all of the proposed changes. So tonight, we're just seeking direction, so no action, no vote is required by the board. We'll take your direction, your input. We'll hand that over to legal counsel, and they will review it, and then we'll bring it back on March 8th.
Because I am not in favor of this, so I just that, no.
So
Okay.
if we're going to have somebody not in favor of this, then we should probably have a vote on this before it goes to legal.
Either a formal vote or at least kind of an indication of whether there's a majority support for bringing this back, yes.
I think we should at least have an indication of majority support, otherwise,
There's no point in spending time on it.
Right,
Right,
ugly
right,
later
right,
on,
right.
so.
just-
Okay, so do we have any objections to this?
Harvey has.
Yeah.
I don't have an objection, and also it's at the discretion of the board member. If they don't want to give the 2,500, they don't have to. So it's not mandatory that you disperse the funds.
Yeah,
Totally,
understand.
totally at the board member's discretion, whether they feel like this would be good for the district as far as public relations and whatever.
Understand.
I'm not opposed to it per se, but, so we have one objection, so we'll go ahead and move forward then. Thank you. Okay. The next red line page.
The next revision will be found on page 10. And this, the revision to this section, which is section 1030.0, paragraph 2, relates to the, to the establishment of divisions. And beginning in November of 2022, and it reads as follows: beginning with the November 22 election and adoption of resolution number 2022-02, the Chino Valley Fire District transitioned into 5 geographically divided voting areas and established a by-division area election system. Those are the revisions that can be found on page 10.
That's just cleaning
So
it up.
it's cleaning up of language based on how we operate, yes. Mhm.
The next revision can be found on page 11. Section 104040.1, and we are adding the word unexcused and excused for, as it pertains to board members who miss board meetings.
So just, if I may, so it's unexcused for 3 months, except when prevented by sickness, excused, what is that? If it's excused by the board, then it's okay? Or if you're out of, absent from the state, then it could be 4 or 5 months, and it's okay? I'm not,
Like if I go on vacation.
I believe this is taken from the Fire Protection District law, so as part of our review, we're going to confirm that this language is consistent with state law.
And I think this is alluding to anything that would be considered abandonment of
Abandoning,
office.
yeah.
yeah, I get it, but if I'm out of the state, then I can, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense, but.
Yeah, just,
I
yeah.
know.
I'm good with just making sure that language is cleaned up properly.
Yeah.
The next proposed recommended change is on page 12, and that is, we're adding to section 1050.0, paragraph 6, an additional travel day as a day of service. So there's a wording added to address that.
So I just want to make sure that the wording, so we have added this wording in several sections of board policy. On this particular one, it sounds like that if, for me, it sounded like that if we're at a 5-day conference, we only get compensated for 2 days.
Of travel.
For travel.
Is this just travel?
A travel
Yes,
day.
total of 2 days
Yes, if you,
of service per each occurrence specifically for travel.
Yes,
If
a
you
travel
travel-
day may
I just thought-
consist
I
the
just
day
thought it was
before and the day
mildly
after.
confusing. I just want to make sure we're okay on that.
yeah, if you travel the day before.
No, I get it.
and then,
It's
yeah,
just that
It's
Yeah.
some or other function of the district, but limited to a total of 2 days of service per
two
each
days,
occurrence.
2 days of travel.
Okay, so maybe add travel.
It says
2
solely
days
of,
It
of,
says travel.
solely of travel.
So if your flight gets canceled. For 3 days.
No, I'm saying the travel day may
If your,
consist
if your
of the day
meeting ends at
before, day
midnight, you're not
after,
getting on a 1 o'clock flight.
but limited total of 2 days of service per each occurrence.
I love you guys.
I don't know. We just want to make sure it works, right?
Sure.
I think it's good.
But that's specifically for travel.
Okay, good enough.
The next change is on page 14, and we are adding Carbon Canyon Fire Safe Council to the list of compensable meetings under subsection F.
Surprised it wasn't already on there.
Yeah, that's a good cleanup.
Thank you.
The next change is on page 15, and that's to section 1050.0K. And this is to add up to 4 compensable meetings per month for president and vice president to meet with fire chief or his designee.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, the next change is on page 16. And we're adding the words local service group, partner agency, and intergovernmental sponsored to section 1050.0, subsection P.
Everyone's okay?
All right, moving on. Again, page 16, we're adding a new section 1050.0 subsection T to clarify that ad hoc committee meetings and individual work is compensable. And that new section reads, ad hoc committee meetings or individual assignments pertaining to ad hoc committee. Okay. And then also, we're editing, page 16, editing section 1050.0. We're editing the list of non-compensable activities and proposing to remove subsections A and B, considering that board members attend various events in their official capacity. Page 18, as we are adding some wording to section 1050.2, subsection 3I, adding, so this is, I will read, 1 additional day before the first day of the event and 1 additional day after the day of the event. And further down, 1 additional day before and 1 additional day after the event. And I believe this is pertaining to compensable
Yeah,
travel. Okay.
it's more than 50 minutes.
Okay, moving on, page 18 as well, we're editing section 6 of 1050.2, and we are removing the reference to distance traveled. Page 18, we are adding a new section 8 to 1050.2 for mileage reimbursement for travel lasting 1 day or less, and we're adding section 9, subsection 9, for mileage reimbursement for travel lasting 2 days or more. Page 22, we are adding a new paragraph at the end of section 1050.4 regarding personalized brush jacket and fire helmet and ability to keep it after having served a 4-year term if member is in good standing and as determined by the board.
I actually have a concern with that one. And I think it's anybody that has served a 4-year term and has I think it should be at least more than 4 years. I think they should at least have a second term. Whether it's a short term and a 4-year term for 6 years or 2 4-year terms. But I would like to see that as, you have to serve 2 terms. And I would be good with 6 years, so it would include a short term and a regular term.
I'm fine with changing it to 6 years.
I'm fine with 6 as well.
6? Yeah.
Director Luth?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with 4.
Consecutive or non?
Consecutive.
Consecutive.
President DeMonico, can I weigh in real quick, just for consideration for the board? I was just curious, if someone comes in less than the 2-year, what if they come in as an appointment because they're less? Are you looking at 6 years or just 2 consecutive terms? Because it could be slightly different, I think.
2 consecutive terms, it would be a short term and a 4-year term. If the appointment's less than that, it doesn't constitute a short term, it's an appointment, it's not a.
Got it.
Because the short term is an election, so that would be 2 elections.
Okay.
So, and at the very minimum, it would be a short-term election and a regular election, or 2 regular elections.
Perfect, okay.
So the next change would be found on page 23. And it was just cleanup. We did correct a section number, changed it from 1060.3 to 1060.4. On pages 23 and 24, you will find new sections added, section 1060.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and 0.9. And those pertain to, let's see.
And I actually put those
the
in
board
there. and that's
president's
give the president the authority
performance
to
evaluation.
move forward with these things to do them.
I think it's all good
Yeah.
cleanup that
Yeah.
wasn't there before.
Yeah, just, if I may, and I agree, there's a lot of good cleanup stuff here. On 1060.7 says, President shall not meet with district personnel under this section without first discussing the reason for the meeting. Discussing with who? With the person you're, on point 7.
In the middle.
It says that,
Page, oh, yeah.
on page 24.
Oh,
Says without discussing the reason for the meeting with, I just want to make sure we understand who,
Yeah.
who we're discussing it with the chief or with the person we're meeting with, or you're, as president, meeting with?
I
don't
think
even know
it's
if the
chief
sentence-
on this
I don't
one.
even know if the
It's the
sentence needs to
chief.
be in there.
probably not. I think we can strike that sentence.
Yeah, I think we can just strike the whole sentence.
I'm good with that, if everybody else is good with that.
Okay, yeah.
Was there, did you add
I
that
probably
for
wrote it,
any?
and I don't even know what I was thinking.
Okay.
Just being honest.
And then on point 9, what did I write down? Oh, okay, so the president has authority to approve additional board member compensable events such as ad hocs and such action shall be placed on the consent calendar. So
Yeah.
what happens if you say something, approve something before the next
That's, I put that in there so that if, let's just say theoretically that an educational seminar comes up that's not listed and want to be
Right,
approved.
right.
And you want to attend it, but you
Yeah.
just got word you want to.
Yeah, no, I-
Give the president the authority to say, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
It
But then
always
just
has
put it on the
been.
consent calendar so it comes through next time.
After the
Okay,
fact.
After
right,
the
I
fact.
just, but
And
what
that's what-
happens if it gets denied by the board for some reason? Then,
The president,
Yeah.
I thought, had the authorization to approve it. That's what my
My
understanding
understanding, and
was.
Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but.
We were
but
just gonna
It's simply a
notify.
matter of it's on consent as an informational item.
okay, so it's more of a notification, not an approval.
How I read it, and we
Okay.
could make that clear.
Good.
And that was the intention.
Yeah, good, I just want to make sure,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if something
Yep.
happens and somebody wants to go somewhere or needs
Yep.
to go somewhere, they have the ability to do that and. Because in the past, you could go and then you had to come back and then you get
Right, right.
approval at arrears, I guess, later on and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
The next change is on page 27. And we added wording to section 1080.3 subsection D, Legislative Committee, authorizing the committee to sign letters of support or letters in opposition to any legislation and requiring that such action be placed on the consent calendar of the next available board meeting.
I got a question about that.
So,
Yeah.
me too. So
So-
what if a letter, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sure it's the same as what I was gonna say, what if you wanna put a letter out, but obviously the letter can't go out until it gets on the agenda and gets approved by the board, I guess, right? Is that what we're saying?
And it's emergency.
well, are we talking about 1080.7?
Yeah.
D.
No, what?
So if you're signing, let's say.
Am I on the wrong one?
Let's say a committee puts together a letter of non-support without board authorization. Well, this is making sure it has to go on the agenda first,
I think-
before you can send the
Oh.
letter out.
I think our concern, the reason why John did this is we've
Yeah.
had times where in between our monthly board meetings, people have asked us for letters of support.
Or
and-
opposition.
Or opposition, and
Right.
we haven't had time to do that. We'd have to call a special meeting
Okay.
just to do that. And this is pretty much giving the legislative committee the authority to move forward with that.
And we actually
Okay.
established a legislative committee last
Okay.
year, but this now folds in, starting to give them responsibilities.
Okay.
But it still has to come back to the board.
But it could go out before.
But it could go up, no, the legislative committee, which right now it's Mike and I, and in conjunction, obviously, with the chief and staff.
Yeah.
Would make it, you know. if
And
we get it-
potentially legal if there was something.
Absolutely. And these usually come from California Special District Association legislative.
They
where
need a quick letter or
where they
something.
They
want-
need a quick letter.
Want some,
That's-
yeah,
that's
some
all it
quick
is.
action, quick letter, and they're asking, and obviously, we support them a lot,
I
so.
would hope anything controversial would not be
Yeah.
done, and that would come.
Yeah, Chino just dealt with this and made some changes, and so, but we have a committee doing it, it's not
Yeah.
under one person's control. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay, the next change can be found on page 29. We're adding a new section 1080.7. And this is regarding board members assigned to liaisons to the cities of Chino, Chino Hills, San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, Chino Valley Unified School District, Inland Empire Utilities District, and Confire, having the additional responsibility to meet with their respective assignments, acting on behalf of the board to discuss facilities, diffs, and other matters that directly affect the district.
And I want to speak to this just for, and it may need better wording than that, but we did establish the two ad hocs, one for Chino, one for Chino Hills, for facilities, those types of things. This takes those ad hocs, it would get rid of the ad hoc and put the responsibility with the liaisons, that's who the ad hocs are, and give you the authority in the board policies to be, I don't want to call it an ad hoc because it's not, but it would be the same as the ad hoc, but give you the authority to meet to discuss those needs as the liaisons with those particular agencies. Does that make sense?
It does to me,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do with that.
Yeah.
And then if this is approved at the next meeting, we'll dissolve those two ad hoc committees.
The next recommended changes on page 34, and this is section 1100.5, and it was revised to, what we did is we revised the time to complete the Special District Leadership Academy, and the recommended change is to change that from 18 months to be completed down to 12 months.
Okay, that's not redlined in our,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No,
Oh. It's, yeah,
oh,
yeah, I missed it too.
okay, no, it is redlined, thank
Yeah.
you.
just a small, up in the, right here at the
Yep.
end.
I think that's a good
Oh,
thing.
you know what?
It just is, they took out the
I would
18
also
and
like-
put to 12.
Like to reduce from 18 months to 12 months the Incident Command System IS 100 course. I would like to see that changed so that they're both the same.
Okay.
There's no, any objections to that? It gets a whole year to get it done. Okay.
Next, on page 42, edited the last sentence in section 2015.0. And this is to allow for an individual designated by the official, by their choice to be sworn in addition to judge and clerk of the board.
Okay, and this is where I'm going to become unpopular, because I feel that we need to keep this, we need to keep our decisions at a business standpoint, and I think this is more to appease our individual style. I feel traditionally, we've always had the clerk of the board and/or the judge. It's professional, it's business-like. We are a department that swears in employees, and I feel us as the board member, we kind of need to set that stage that not anyone's going to swear you in, we're going to have it a professional ceremony. Even though it's still a ceremonial, I would like to keep it professional. So I think it gets a little, you guys, I've seen it in other agencies, and I think it gets a little messy. We can't control what that individual is going to say, even though they have the script to say, where when we have the clerk of the board or the judge, we know for factual, what's going to happen. So I personally would like to keep it as is in here.
You want me to say something now?
Yeah.
So, we do get sworn in professionally
Yes.
by the clerk of the board. This is just the one for pomp and
Yes,
circumstance.
yes, ceremony, absolutely.
It's ceremonial. Doesn't, asking the judge to come in to give us an oath that's already been given to us versus having somebody else who you want to designate to do it.
Our family members can stand
a
beside us. They can stand beside us. Yeah. I just think it's the most professional way is leaving as is, so.
Well, I would,
You guys, I mean, you might
Sarah,
not have a position
Sarah,
on it.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and to a certain extent, I agree with what you're saying. But over the years, I've seen so many swearing-ins, and it's just kind of special when a family member can swear you in, or somebody who you really want to swear you in from the personal standpoint. So I kind of agree with the change. I mean, I understand what you're saying. But it's pretty, I think it's special to, I've seen, I've been to so many at the police department with swearing when they get their badge, and having a spouse do that or a father do that. I just think it's fantastic when that happens also.
Well, I
So-
think they pin them, but do they swear them in? I mean, are we taking from that stance of a swearing in is something that's very important and something that should be highly respected?
Right.
That's just my.
I understand what you're saying. I haven't, and over the years and all the swearing-ins, I have barely ever seen one that was embarrassing. You know what I mean? It was like, ooh, maybe that shouldn't have happened.
I've been to a
Usually,
couple.
yeah, maybe a couple.
I agree with Sarah. I like the way we've been doing it, and I think it just shows, I just think it's a nice process or a nice presentation, the way we do the ceremonial swearing in, and I like it the way it is.
Harvey?
I've been on that, I agree with Sarah and John a lot on this. I certainly agree with them previously when this has come up. But I'm kind of coming around on this, more to Mike's side, I'm sorry to say.
What's happening?
I
As
don't
much as
know.
it pains you.
It pains me a lot. I agree. We don't want to make it a circus or a spectacle. But I'd like to leave it in here for now, and if we come back to it, I'm more inclined now to be open to this than I was before, so.
So you can get a tattoo now, too?
A tattoo? No tattoo.
So
Just wondered where
if,
the line was.
so if I hear you want to keep it in, but you may,
Well, I think, I'm good with leaving it in.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right. You better have your wives dressed nicely if they come up here.
We'll hear about it.
Have to wait 4 years for that.
My wife would never do that.
I'm gonna have it on.
All right. Thank you. Page 44 is our next change, and we did, there is a recommendation to edit the public, or change the public comment time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and those changes are included in that section, 2020.3.
Yeah, and this has been discussed for a long time. Not discussed, but I know kind of,
It's what both cities do.
yeah,
It's what the school district does. It's what everybody else around us does.
Right. Jeff, in the past, that you have expressed a little concern with it, are you comfortable with this?
Which provision is this?
The one, reducing the time from 5 to 3
on page
minutes?
44, yeah.
I think 3 minutes is defensible from a legal perspective.
Good.
The next change is on page 46. We did edit section 2030.1 to indicate that the board meeting shall commence no earlier than the time stated on the agenda. The next change is on page 48,
More cleanup.
editing section 2040.0 subsection E, and this was a correction to the fire chief's expenditure limit.
And we actually approved that by board action a few years ago.
Yeah, we just need to clean up language.
And finally, page 51, editing and adding wording to section 2060.1, indicating that a video recording shall be made of each open meeting of the Board of Directors and posted as such. Subsection A, videos of the meeting shall serve as backup to the typed minutes and used if a dispute or more clarification of the typed minutes are necessary.
And I actually put that in there. I don't know if we needed that or not, but I thought the video then could be on, certified as the record of the district of the meeting versus just the minutes. I don't know if it needs it or not, but I just thought for clarification, it would give the, it would serve as a official copy of the meeting.
Should we consider, because what if the camera breaks, we're in a meeting, oh, the camera's not working, so could we have a video, unless not available or operational or whatever, then audio? You see what I'm saying? I mean, it could happen, and if not changes, if we don't want to make that change, then D needs to be changed, because it does talk about video and audio recording, so, anyway, I just think leave the option there for an audio in case there's some technical problem.
Yeah, Vice President Luth, if I can weigh in, I'm sorry to break into the conversation, but we have had this incident, and President DeMonico, I think that we probably do need to have a space there in case we have a technical problem that we can't work through at that time frame, so that it keeps us in the right legal space.
Absolutely, that's a good
Like
catch.
we're having right now.
Okay,
Good catch.
yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, if we could add that, that's a good catch. Thank you, Harvey.
Yep.
And that concludes all of the recommended changes to the board policies.
Good job to the committee, thank you.
I want to thank everybody
Thank
for
you,
their
yeah.
input and their diligence on this. It gets massaged every year, and I think it gets better every year. So thank you. So the direction now would be to, I don't think we need a motion or anything with this. I think this goes to legal now, and legal will come back with a finalized version for us hopefully for our next meeting. And hopefully we've got enough time for that, Jeff, so we'll be able to do that, and then we can approve it at the next meeting, and or make more changes, I guess. We're gonna take a 5-minute comfort break, so.
Is really, as a practical matter, going to be coming to an end here at the end of the month when the governor ends the statewide emergency declaration. There's at least some argument that it can still be used if the board makes a determination that state and local officials are still recommending social distancing. But as a practical matter, I don't think many agencies are going to be relying on that provision. It is an option, though, that I wanted to make you aware of if the board is interested in pursuing that option. So what's left is the provisions of Bill AB 2449, which was adopted this last year and signed by the governor. AB 2449 does allow for somewhat relaxed teleconferencing, similar to what we were doing under the COVID provisions in terms of allowing board members to not necessarily post their remote locations, not requiring those remote locations to be open to the public, and not having to identify those remote locations on the agenda. However, AB 2449 does contain a number of other restrictions that some agencies are finding kind of complicated and difficult to administer. And so at least 2 agencies that I work with have basically said, you know, the restrictions and quite honestly, some of the provisions which are a little bit ambiguous and poorly drafted are too much to handle right now. We're going to let other agencies kind of figure out how to work them out, see if there are any lawsuits that clarify that legislation, and those agencies are simply relying on the old school, original teleconferencing provisions. And so we wanted to seek direction from the board in terms of whether you wish to try and use AB 2449 provisions for either the board and/or the board's committees, or if you'd prefer us to kind of rely on kind of the state of nature as it was before COVID with the original teleconferencing provisions. I'm certainly available to answer any questions as to the specifics of AB 2449. I included in the agenda packet a more detailed memo that explains those, so I'm available to answer any questions.
This time I'd like to ask if there's any public who would like to comment on this item. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board, and we'll just go ahead and open this up instead of going name by name. So any board member would like to comment?
So, Jeff, you're asking us to either adopt 2449 or just stick with the old school style?
Yeah, and you don't have to take a formal action in terms of adopting 2449. The bill doesn't require the board to take any specific action, but instead, staff needs to know and legal counsel need to know whether the board is interested in us using that. The reason is because AB 2449, it kind of leaves open the possibility of teleconferencing really until the last minute. Some of the provisions basically say that a board member can, as late as soon as the meeting starts, call the board and notify the board that that the board member has a family emergency, that they have to take care of a family member, in which case we would have had to have listed on the agenda how members of the public can attend remotely. And so we need to know if the board is open to having those kind of late-breaking requests by board members so that we can properly list that language on the agenda, as well as technologically have the technology set up and ready to go if a board member calls in at the last minute and says they can't make it to a board meeting and they want to teleconference in.
So if we adopt 2449, or if we just have it on a standing consent item, you know, kind of like what we did with 361. It's just been on there. If we do that, then the public has to have the right to teleconference in?
Correct. That's one of the limitations of AB 2449, is that it allows board members to, at the very last minute, identify an emergency or an urgent reason why they need to teleconference in. But then it goes on to say, but if the agency is going to do that, it has to make available to the public the ability to call in remotely and conference in. And as a practical matter, that means we need to list that on the agenda at every meeting. We don't need to have the standing resolution and findings that is currently on there, but we would have to list, you know, Zoom or Teams or whatever the technology we choose to use, all of that language on the agenda at every meeting, just in case a board member calls in.
And it would have to be available in case somebody wanted to use it then?
Correct.
Okay.
And,
It's
but
messy.
you're not, if a board member is going to miss the meeting on an emergency basis, does this have to be notified 72 hours before that meeting, or is it
Not
going to
with
be
this one.
a last-minute change to implement AB, what was it, 2449?
2449.
We can only use one or the other. We can't decide to go back and forth.
Right, if the board gives us direction not to utilize the provisions of AB 2449, then we would revert back to the original Brown Act provisions, and those original Brown Act provisions require really coordination more than 72 hours in advance so that we can post the remote location, identify it on the agenda, and the clerk's office can kind of coordinate that
And
ahead
then
of time.
that location's open to the public.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be missing May's meeting. So I'll be in San Diego at a conference, but I was hoping to be able to call in for it.
And if you know ahead of time, then you can coordinate with the clerk's office. We can identify the convention center, wherever it is, to have that posted, identified on the agenda, and it won't be that big of a problem.
I would like us to get to that point in general, technologically, where somebody can call into our meetings if they wish to do so. I think that opens it up for the public to participate more in the governmental process. And, you know, I'm sure that there's a way that we can do that for the future. I'd like to talk to the IT team before we commit them to doing.
City of Chino broadcasts their meetings live.
Yeah, they broadcast, but you can't call in
You can't
and
call
do,
in.
you can't call and do.
But But if they've got an extended public communication, somebody get in their car and drive down.
I should point out, these limitations really only apply to teleconferencing by board members. In other words, if the board wishes, you can open up to the public the ability for them to call in, either on the telephone or by Zoom, as well as other, party staff, if you want staff to be able to do that. If you want vendors or members of the public, you can allow them to do that without having to comply with all of the technical requirements of AB 2449. AB 2449 is really for teleconferencing in of board members.
And I got two questions. First, AB 361 goes away.
Effectively, yes.
End of this month.
It's going to go away
It's for the
at the end of this
emergency.
month.
It's for the emergency,
That's right.
yes.
It is going to bed. Now, with 2449, if we decide to move forward with 2449 and we decide we don't like it, can we change it?
Absolutely. Yep, the board can always say, this is too much hassle for staff. We're going to just kind of discontinue using AB 2449 and go back to the original Brown Act teleconferencing provisions.
So, I'm sorry, so on AB 2449, for example, if I'm going to be out of town and call in, so because they're allowing me to call in, then do we have to allow the public to call in? Is that the way I heard it?
If we are using AB 2449 in the sense that we're not posting your remote location, then yes, we would have to allow the public to participate remotely by Zoom or Teams or whatever.
You guys, it's messy. It's
Yeah.
messy,
Yeah,
and I
it
don't think
seems to
we
be
should
that way.
proceed with it.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
has a lot of restrictions, a lot of requests in there. We rarely miss meetings, and I think in my entire time and that I've served, only one time we've had to do this remotely for me. And I was at a conference, I was in training up, for the district, and I had to dial in that time that way. But it's absolutely messy. I think we should just,
It puts too much on staff, the clerk's office, IT. Yeah, I tend to agree, go back to the old way. We still have that available. Like Mike knows when he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I agree, I wrote that down too originally. Let's wait and see how this really vets out, and then if we like it, then we can jump in, so.
I agree. What are most agencies doing, just out of curiosity?
Based on my own polling of the clients that I'm working with, two of the ones that have looked at it have decided not to use AB
Yes,
2449.
And I've listened in on a couple of meetings where they've discussed 2449, and that's the same decision they've came with in those meetings, so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good with holding off now. We can always revisit this.
I'm good with going back to the old way. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
The way it used to be before COVID? Yes.
Although,
So
so,
do we have okay, go ahead.
so there was something, I just saw it, so I'm going to try to find it. The 361 remains in law through January 2024.
It does. So, in June, if the governor declares another emergency because of COVID or some other pandemic or something, then the the district would be able to use 361, and it's still fairly relaxed compared to 2449.
But it's only based upon a local emergency, and he's ending that for COVID for the end of this month, so it.
That's why it's going away at the end of
going
this
away
month,
now.
yes.
Okay.
But the law stays in effect until 2024.
So if we have like a major wildfire.
Earthquake or- right.
Earthquake, something, then we can.
Yep.
Impose that.
Yep.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Any other questions? So do we have board consensus? Do we need to vote?
I don't think you need to vote. I think we've
have
got consensus,
then?
and so,
Go back to the old way and do it that way?
Yes.
Yep. Looks like we have consensus.
Okay,
That is
thank
the
you.
Direction. Thank you. Okay. Now to find where I was before. So,
Chief's comments.
okay. We're down to fire chief comments.
Fantastic. Thank you, President DeMonico. Under Personnel Development Activities, on January 31st, the deputy chiefs and several of our personnel attended a leadership staff ride at the Battle of San Pascual in San Diego. On February 14th, from 8 to noon, the executive management team and I will participate in an off-site team-building workshop being facilitated by Dr. Wayne McAfee. Under Board Activities and Public Relations, on January 9th, I met with Director Howie for our monthly one-on-one. On January 12th, I met with Vice President Luth for our monthly, or now, for our one-on-one meeting. On January 18th, I met with Director Krieger and I met for our one-on-one. On January 19th, I met with Chino Police Chief and command staff for a tour of Station 63 to discuss providing front office space to meet growing community needs in the preserve area. Also that same day, I met with President DeMonico for our one-on-one. I attended a meeting to discuss future emergency communication nurse system issues. Later that day, I participated in a video outreach to show support to the Chino Police Department. On January 23rd, I attended the Finance Committee meeting, and later that day, I delivered a message at a workshop being hosted by the district for aspiring fire captains. On January 24th, I attended Confire Admin Committee meeting. On January 25th and 26th, myself and many of the command staff attended the ambulance RFP workshop at the Rancho Cucamonga Training Center. On January 25th, I met with City Manager Montgomery. Also on the 25th, I met with Director Sarah Ramos-Evinger for our one-on-one. On February 3rd, I spoke at the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce Leadership Consortium. A special note of appreciation to Deputy Chief Alt for coordinating this event. I have had many stakeholders that were in attendance reach out to express their appreciation for Chief Alt's professionalism and a well-conducted event. On February 6th, staff and I toured the IEUA facility, as already mentioned. I found that very interesting and fascinating. Under Confire items of interest, negotiations related to requests for proposal for ambulance services are ongoing. Proposals are tentatively due March 23rd of 2023. Special thank you to Deputy Chief Cook, EMS Nurse Leslie Parham, and Acting Deputy Chief Smith for their commitment and tremendous work on this project. Also under Confire, Confire has requested support of our EMS nurse to assist bringing the ECNS program to full implementation. EMS nurse Leslie Parham is currently providing program direction through a professional services agreement to Confire. Under organizational items of interest, the district was recently recognized with its sixth consecutive GFOA award, a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, also for the year 2023 budget. Next, the GFOA Budget Award is the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting and is evidence to the district's commitment to public trust and transparency. We have no recruitment update for this evening. And finally, upcoming events. Cal Chiefs meeting is scheduled for February 16th from 8 to noon. We also have Student Government Day on February 22nd from 9 to noon. And we have a Confire admin meeting on February 28th at 1:30. And that concludes my report.
I think this is the first time we've heard in years that we have no recruitment update.
Well, we do have one that's just not quite there yet. Was that the auxiliary worker?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got one coming up.
Yeah.
We don't have one. Okay. Thank you, Chief. And board committee reports. So a couple of comments. I established an ad hoc committee for the purpose of selecting a law firm to assist Chino Valley Fire District with labor negotiations. And I've appointed Director Krieger and Director Howie to the ad hoc committee. And I've established an ad hoc committee for the purpose of meeting with the state and federal legislators. And I've also appointed Director Krieger and Director Howie to that ad hoc committee. And now this is the time for board comments. So as I call your name, we'll start with Director Evinger.
Okay, thank you. I had a Carbon Canyon Fire Safe Council meeting, attended City of Chino meetings. We had our board policies ad hoc committee meeting, the Association of San Bernardino County Special Districts. We had a chapter meeting, and we got to hear about the train that goes from Rancho to Vegas.
Bright line.
Yeah. And I had a California Special Districts Association Membership and Professional Services Committee meeting, and it was kind of light this last month, so it was nice since we were so busy in December. I want to thank Tori for going out of her way, and thank you for recognizing her today, because that was a big deal to do. And I didn't know who it was, but I heard around the community that someone from the fire district had stopped And at the time, I kept wondering, who was it? I know a lot was going on. So makes me proud because that is what the members of this district do. They always are going out of their way and going above and beyond for the community members of this district. We saw Herringer again, and so happy he and his wife were able to come so we can recognize them on the retirement. And our Employee of the Year, Natalie, and Firefighter of the Year, Ryan. Congratulations to both of you guys, and thank you for your service. We had our 15 years. Chief, thank you for your 15. And we missed Casey today, and I was mentioning to Russell Tao that I think the last time I saw his son, he was a tiny little baby that he was holding, and it had been that long, and I just couldn't believe how big that young man is. I also want to recognize, we are, this month, we're recognizing Black History Month, so I just want to make mention of that, as well as Valentine's Day. And wish everybody, you gentlemen, please make sure you take care of your wives and or significant others. You should be loving them every single day, not just utilizing Valentine's Day for it, but do something extra special for that. And that's all for my comment. Oh, happy belated birthday, Director Luth. Or Vice President Luth, yep. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Director Howie.
Oh, okay. Going out of turn, I like that. Just a few quick comments here. Obviously, congrats to our Employees of the Year. It's quite an honor, and I'm happy for them. And also to our anniversary recipients today, congratulations on being with the district. Let's see, I attended the special, as Sarah mentioned, I also attended the special district dinner. It was my first one in Rancho Cucamonga. It was very nice, and got to meet a lot of nice people, and we had a good time. Actually, the dinner was pretty good, too. It's kind of unusual. Sometimes they're not that great. Shouldn't really say that. And then on the 24th, I attended the Chino Hills City Council meeting. And also on the 28th, I went to the Chino Community Building to see David Allen come and speak from the Inland Valley Daily Bulletin. And he didn't really know what to expect from him, because you read his articles, he's pretty funny. Yeah. But he did a pretty good job talking about, he read from his book. He's done this book on the LA County Fair. Well, I guess there's never really been a book that's been done for the 75 years or whatever, the county fair, or close to 100 years now, I think. But he read some of his articles, and it was good. It was very entertaining, and he took some questions, sold some books. So I think it was okay for him, and it was kind of good, because he's come to Chino a few times now. It's good to see him not just be Ontario and the other part of the valley. So he is paying a little bit of attention to Chino and Chino Hills, which is good. And then just the last thing is, I drive down Schaefer every day, and I drive by the training center in Station 1, and I noticed that, the landscaping is it's tired after all these years. And in the last couple of days, I've seen a bunch of guys out there just tearing all the landscaping out. It looks like they're cleaning it up. And I think once we get it planted, it'll look good by those stations. I'm sure it's going to be drought tolerant because, and so I've been monitoring, and there's a lot of guys working on it as far as cleaning out all that landscaping in front. So I'm looking forward to it being completed and looking good again. So that's all my comments.
I want to congratulate all the honorees tonight, all the service awards that were given out tonight as well. I attended school board meeting. There's going to be a new school in the preserve called the Louis W. Moreno, I think it's Louis W. Moreno Elementary School. There was a lot of discussion on how they were going to word it. He was a community leader for a long time in the preserve area, so it's going to be named after him. Met with the chief, attended Chino Hills Council meeting and the ASBCSD with most of everybody else. And congratulations, Mark, on the GFOA award for the finance department. And that'll be it for me tonight. Thanks.
Vice President Luth.
Thank you. So, yeah, a couple of Chino meetings last night. We had one, Deputy Chief Dean covered well, Chief, and mentioned again the update on the ambulance service, and the city continues, the council continues to be very supportive and appreciative of the updates. Had an airport commission meeting with the chief, agenda meeting, attended the run for Russ. I did not run it, I walked it, but I did it.
I drove it.
Yeah, yes, and at the end, so we had a group of explorers there who participated, and so I was talking with them, and one of the young ladies took second in her age, whatever, younger than me. So quite an accomplishment, because there's some pretty fast people in that event. So let's see here. Congratulations to Jeff. It's good to see him. Again, just appreciate how you guys send our retirees out. I was there for the start of it. I'm glad I wasn't there for the whole event, but man, it's so well done. Such a nice experience for our retirees. Tori, yeah, appreciate her efforts. Well done. Natalie, always appreciate our IT staff. And Ryan, again, for firefighter of the year. Chief Casey and Russell, for your 15 years, thank you very much. And let's see, I think that's all I've got. So thank you.
And I attended a few meetings this month as well, a couple of IEUA board meetings and Sudbury County Board of Directors meetings. Those are always interesting. Did have our orientation with CSDA Legislative Committee, and our first meeting's coming up next Thursday in Sacramento. I did the agenda review, Finance Committee meeting, had my chief meeting, and also attended the chapter meeting with CSDA, and we did get an overview on Brightline. And that's a real interesting proposal. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's the high-speed train. It's going to go from Rancho to Vegas, and there's a lot that's going to go on with that. So it's going to be real interesting. But if you get an opportunity, I don't know if it's online or not, take a look at it. And with that, I would like to thank Tori for her actions and for what she did on it at that structure fire. And I'd like to commend our firefighter of the year, Ryan, and employee of the year, Natalie, and 15 years for Chief, for Casey, for Russell, and retirement of Jeff. I was so glad he was able to make it here, because it's kind of special for me, because Jeff and I go way back, and we could probably tell stories on each other, but we won't. But want to thank him for all his years of service, and he's got quite a few. I don't know, Chief, do you know what his total years were with everybody? Yeah, I know they were close to 40.
It's close to 40. He's done a lot of time.
Yeah. Close to 30. I think it's close to 40. Because back in the 80s, he was in Norco. Before that, he was a paid call.
Yeah, he does.
But with that, Chief, I'm glad you're spending Valentine's Day with your staff. Would like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And with that, we are going to adjourn the meeting to... Oh, I gotta go back to where it was here, get the right day. The meeting will adjourn to a regular board meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District to be held on Wednesday, March 8th, 2023, at 6 p.m. at District Headquarters Office located at 14011 City Center Drive, Chino Hills, California, 91709, and the meeting is adjourned at 8:21.